In this video, we're talking all about this Moana attraction coming to Walt Disney World. Our friend Jack from DSNY Newscast did a fantastic video breaking it all down. We're going to play his video and react to it. Up next, I got the Italiano with me on this episode of OG 5055. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG 55. We are talking all about this Moana attraction coming to Walt Disney World, or possibly coming. We got no confirmations yet, but we're going to break down DSNY's video and kind of talk about it. We're going to speculate and have a good time. But before I do that, George, if you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There it is. There it is. All right, let's dive in. We got a great video from Jack today. And we're going to do it like we always do it here on OG 55. We're going to play the video, stop it along the way, break it down, talk about it. So, George, you know the rules. If you want to say something or chime in any part of this video, just say, hey, OG, stop.
Press the damn button.
Press that damn button. Here we go.
Hi there, Waltoneers. I'm Jack, and this is DSNY Newscast. And later on this year, in August, it's going to be D23 Expo time once again. And look, let's face it, the past few D23 events of 2021, 2022, and 2023, they left a lot to be desired. And that's certainly something which I felt from my channel's perspective, as I had to cover the Blue Sky brainstorm sessions on stage from a news perspective. And it was just a lot of silly teasing of ideas and not nearly enough hard announcements of what they actually have planned, which means that we don't have anything to sink our teeth into and look forward to in a serious way. But
and Jack is right. I mean, that's the frustrating thing with this Blue Sky stuff is that it gets you excited, but then it also splashes cold water on your face because you're like, oh, that's dope. Oh, but we might not get it. Right?
Exactly.
It's this constant like push and pull of like, oh man, that's cool. They might do that. Oh, but they might not. And it was, I don't know if it was Daddy Josh's idea. I don't know if it was the powers that be, maybe in Burbank, who decided that this Blue Sky thing was a great idea. Maybe it was Chapek, because it kind of started a little bit, years ago. I don't know whose idea was it. Not great though. Not great. And especially when you're green lighting the small stuff. Like we got small announcements like San Francisco at DCA, but the big stuff was all this Blue Sky stuff, and there was nothing ever concrete. And it was a huge morale killer for fans. And I feel like we're going to move away from that in this next expo, convention, fan event, whatever it's called now. Hopefully. But go ahead.
It's
George.
the thing, OG. It's the thing.
It's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a thing. But
I agree with you. I think it was, they had a vision of how they wanted to approach it, but I think a lot of times when you're dealing with diehard Disney fans in the Disney community, they probably wouldn't mind anything in a Blue Sky process as long as you're giving something that's greenlit afterwards. I think that would kind of have eased the burn a little bit. But it's a lot of that tugging back and forth. It's like, oh, here's this, but that's not it. But we're going to give you this. That's still not it. This is all like and I do think, to kind of defend Tomorrow a little bit because of the route it seems like they're going forward, moving forward. But I feel like that they were not even just Tomorrow, but I feel like Disney was kind of backed into a corner because of everything that was going on, that there was nothing solidified in the moment of what they could or could not do. In the case of Disneyland, waiting for Disneyland Forward, which we all know the outcome so far from at the time of this recording. Yesterday, it was a 7-0 vote, landslide for Disneyland Forward for the first part of the vote, which we'll get into that much more at a later video. And then, of course, with Walt Disney World, with a lot of the political clash with the the state of Florida and Ron DeSantis. So now that has eased up, now Disney can, as they say, can turbocharge and go full throttle with all these projects. So I think Disney didn't want to just stay quiet and not give us anything. They wanted to kind of give us that hope that, stuff is on the horizon. But at the same time, I would have just appreciated tomorrow just to say, hey, you know what? We're tackling some issues. We're going along some bumps. But don't think that we forgot about you as Disney fans. We're going to show you some blue sky concept. These are things that are possibly in the pipeline, but once we get these issues handled, then we'll move forward. And that's the one thing that I wish Disney can just hit reality, is just admit you're going through some hardship times.
Right.
Don't sugarcoat it and say, oh yeah, we're fine, but then not do anything about it, because it makes you look like if you're fine, then why are you doing this?
Right. And some candor goes a long way. It really does. And it's weird too, because sometimes they do have that. I feel like with Avatar, they're kind of admitting, and maybe this is because they're using it as a negotiating thing, but with Avatar, they're sort of admitting this hinges on Disneyland Forward, right? Mm-hmm. And there's no fans that are upset with that. We appreciate the fact that Disney's coming out there and saying, hey, look, honestly, the scale and scope of this thing depends on Disneyland Forward. Cool. As fans, we can handle that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I wish they would do that same tactic more often when it comes to Disney. Because you're right, George. If they would get up there and say, "Look, you know what? We got some political issues, to say the least, over in Florida, and it's kind of putting stuff kind of on hold right now. But once we get out of that, we're gonna bring it again, and we'll bring those plans to you at another date." But to sit there and blue sky stuff, and to sit there and to sort of do these announcements, you end up just pissing off fans more than anything. It's just not a good look. It's almost better not to say anything at all, to be honest.
Exactly. I agree.
Apparently that might be about to change this year, as at least from what I've been told, Disney is fully aware of the perception surrounding these recent D23 events being too much fluff and not nearly enough substance at the events, and they want to change it for this year. And for 2024, they're gearing up to make it a big D23 event. Now, obviously, much like all of you, after the previous D23 events, once I hear something like that, I am cautiously optimistic, as there's still 5 months away from D23 and a lot could change between now and then, as there's a lot of moving chess pieces at play within the Walt Disney Company at the moment. But nevertheless, it is good to hear that Disney executives know that they need to swing big at this D23. And I guess this is also sort of backed up by the fact that the main panel presentations for the Disney parks and the movie presentations and stuff like that are being moved out of the Anaheim Convention Center's main stage area, which can host around 7,000 people, on over to instead the Honda Center, which is an arena which can host around 18,000 people for that capacity. So the fact that they're moving it from there to a much larger space where they can host a lot more people might also be a signal that they've got some big plans to unveil at D23 this year. And so here's hoping that that's true. Now we come to discussing.
And I think he's right. And we've talked about that a lot on this channel, where it's a bigger arena, and I think that's, look, you set the bar a little higher, Disney, when you do that. You're kind of implying, hey, we need a bigger auditorium, which implies bigger announcements. As fair or unfair as that is, that's what it looks like, and hopefully we do. Now, I do feel, and I've said this before, I'm not going to say anything concrete because I don't know, what I'm saying, but I do feel there has been a shift. There is something in the air when it comes to this stuff. We're starting to see big things happening with Disneyland Paris. Their second gate was rethemed or renamed recently to Disney's Adventure World. That's a big thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure we're going to hear more about that at the expo. We just had, like you said, Disneyland Forward approved last night. We have one more vote, but last night was approved, and it was 0-7. It was unanimous.
7-0. It was
7-0.
Yep, it was a landslide.
It was a landslide. There we go. You know what I'm saying? So things are moving in the right direction. We also have the DeSantis drama seemingly behind us as well in Florida. We're getting a lot more news surrounding Walt Disney World, things like that. So there's something in the air. I do feel like there's going to be some big stuff, but They just gotta deliver, man. They gotta deliver.
Mhm.
And that Honda Center raises the bar, ups the ante quite a bit. That perception thing.
And especially too, that we're getting a lot of news now, sort of like the kind of like the pregame, so to speak. So they're making the announcements. Hey, you know, we're doing Avatar. You know, here is a piece of concept art that may come out to fruition depending on like what we are giving with, excuse me, with Disneyland Forward. We're getting another new cruise ship, the Disney Destiny. Oh, yes, we are greenlighting Encanto and Indiana Jones for Animal Kingdom. But that's just it. They're just giving us kind of like the first layer of the lasagna, so to speak. It's like
Right.
once we get the D23, hopefully we get all that inside goodness of the layers of the lasagna of like what is actually going to go into Avatar. What is the Indiana Jones ride about? What is Encanto going to be about? What's the ride system going to be like? So I kind of hope that that's the route that D23 goes, because I think that would be much better, because at least it'll give the mindset to a fan that, okay, I know kind of what to expect, but yet I don't.
Right. What you do, that's a great theory. Like what you do is you give us the announcements. Okay, we got Avatar, we got the rename of the Paris park, yada yada yada. Now that we have these announcements, now when the expo comes, you can deep dive, like you were saying, peel back the layers of the lasagna, right? And really kind of deep dive into what these announcements mean, that, you know, what are we getting, what kind of attractions we can expect, things like that. So we'll see. Hopefully that's the route they're going. Hopefully. We'll see.
What could be announced at
Oh,
D23?
also I do want to say, see how how he smashed that like button over here? If you watched DSNY's video, and you absolutely should, after you watch this one, definitely check it out, but you should be smashing the like button as well, just like OG did.
And also like OG, and you can see that subscribed is
Right there.
checked off there too.
Exactly. You smash that subscribe button too and support our friend Jack.
23. And, you know, there's a couple of things which we're most likely to get, like the finalized plans for Animal Kingdom's Dino Land, Dinorama section of the park. We'll probably get some big news surrounding the Disneyland Forward proposal for the Disneyland Resort. And we'll probably get some more confirmation about their plans for Beyond Big Thunder in a more concrete way. And hopefully a lot of big surprises as well will come at D23 Expo. But one of the things which I'm actually very interested in seeing get talked about at D23 this year is the potential of a Moana attraction at Walt Disney World. And the reason for this is, you know, back at D23 Expo in 2022, they unveiled that blue sky artwork that we all saw at the time, and it had that Moana boat ride log flume attraction within the blue sky artwork and a kind of Moana mini land as well. And I did a video on this at the time showing how it would work within Animal Kingdom. If you want to go check that out, I'll leave a link to it down below. But
oh, hold on 1 second, guys. 1 second.
When we first arrived at St. Jude, it was
okay.
You know, they showed this within the artwork, and obviously these were just preliminary tentative plans for maybe what they wanted to do within the Dino Land Dinorama section of Animal Kingdom. But I think it's very interesting that imagining or even thinking of a Moana ride through attraction of that scale for Animal Kingdom. And then obviously a year later at Destination D23, we got the new updated artwork for the Dino Land area, and it had Encanto in the place of where Moana was. And it also had Indiana Jones obviously replacing a dinosaur. But the reason why I want to talk about this topic is that there's been some recent rumors and rumblings stating that, you know, Imagineering still has plans for a Moana ride-through attraction to come to Walt Disney World. And the thing that's interesting about this is supposedly it wouldn't be going to Animal Kingdom anymore. And the new location of this attraction, this ride-through attraction, would supposedly be Magic Kingdom. Now, if this ends up being true, I think this makes way more sense for a Moana ride-through attraction to go into Magic Kingdom. I think it's a much better fit for this IP. But also, there's a lot of evidence behind the idea that Imagineering are clearly not done with Moana as a ride-through attraction. Not only, you know, they had it within the original artwork, so clearly they had some sort of plans in place for it, but there's an awful lot of evidence and reasoning to show that Moana is a very popular IP, and it's one they need to capitalize on within the parks, and especially at Walt Disney World. And the main thing is that if we look at the Nielsen streaming statistics for the year, Moana was the #1 streamed movie out of all the streaming services for 2023, which is just astonishing to think that, this movie from 2016 still resonates in such a big way that it's the #1 most streamed movie of all movies on all streaming services. And it just goes to show
I mean, it's crazy because it's even. I mean, it's there's some big movies on that list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at Super Mario. I mean, Minions. We just did a show with Josh Modern Mouse. We talked about Minions, and they're big. It's a big franchise. It's beating out Minions,
Frozen, Avatar. Like, that's crazy.
I'm telling you, Moana's a powerhouse. I mean, they are I agree with Jack though, because of this popularity, they have to be looking at a sizable addition for Moana. I get it; they just did the Epcot thing, but I think they want something bigger. Absolutely.
Popularity of Moana is unabated since 2016. And in actual fact, if you look at 2021 and 2022 for those same Nielsen reports, Moana's within the top 5. And even if you take out the new releases for that year, because obviously the new releases to the streaming services will obviously get an awful lot of watch minutes and be closer towards the top because people want to check out the latest thing on the streaming services. If you take out the new releases, Moana is #1 in terms of these most streamed movies, of the legacy kind of titles on these streaming services. So that really goes to show just how popular Moana is. And I think the other key thing here is that Disney Parks chair Josh D'Amaro has even stated that they are looking at Disney Plus as a key data point in considering what they should bring to the parks, as audience behavior and what people want to watch will clearly be an indicator of what they should be building IP wise within the parks. And if they're doing that, Moana is clearly something that they're going to want to build an attraction for. And you may say, yes, they've already got Journey of Water, the walk-through attraction in Epcot. But the key difference here is that was greenlit in 2019 before Disney Plus launched.
Oh.
And that was just based off, some merchandise sales and saying, yes, Moana's a popular IP when it's surveyed. But now they've got the hard data to show just how popular Moana is and how it's an enduring popularity on the streaming services. And so I think that will play a big role in them making their decisions for a Moana ride-through attraction as well. And then obviously they've also greenlit a Moana 2, the sequel, that'll be coming out later on this year. And they've even got a live action version of Moana that'll be scheduled for like 2025 or 2026 as well. And so obviously there's a lot of complementary points which show that, this would be a popular decision if they did go forward with this. Now, if this is true and they are looking to put a Moana attraction in Magic Kingdom, the location of where it could go, obviously the first one.
Now, this is interesting. This is going to be very, very interesting to hear his opinion on this, because I'm wondering the same thing. I'm wondering, where would you put a Moana attraction? Personally, well, let's let Jack take over, then we'll kind of talk about it.
One is, could it be within Beyond Big Thunder? And personally, I don't think that it's a very good fit within that part of the park.
Agreed.
Sure, they could try and work it in from the kind of Oceania kind of aspect of building off Rivers of America, build the waterway off and try and do like an Oceania kind of vibe up there. And they could make that work in Beyond Big Thunder. But personally, I think Moana would work much better as a ride-through attraction within Adventureland. Now, The reason for this is that Adventureland does actually have an expansion plot. It's southwest of Pirates of the Caribbean on the map, in that kind of corner down there. It's somewhat suitable land to be built upon. It's always been an expansion plot which they've just kept hold of and waiting for something in the future. And I think, given the popularity of the Moana franchise, I think this might be the move to go for. And if they were to do this, you might say, how are they going to get from Adventureland all the way out there? And this is just my own personal, armchair magic.
And I just want to say too, Adventureland really is the perfect land for this kind of attraction. It fits beautifully with that tiki room, kind of Polynesian style, you know what I'm saying? And Moana also, and just in general, is just such a grand adventure, and just this IP is just perfect for it. Absolutely perfect.
Absolutely. And at the time when the movie was first coming out, they had the intention of building an e-ticket kind of Moana-esque type of roller coaster in the form of a volcanic mountain that was supposed to go in Adventureland, and where the placement was supposed to go, it would look out to the direct, like a beeline straight to Disney's Polynesian Village, because it would tie into the South Pacific Polynesian culture of Moana and what have you. So they kind of like wanted to tie that theme to it. But at the time, I guess with budgeting, they either had to pick one or the other, and they decided to go for Tron. So that idea kind of went to the wayside, but it's nice to see that there's a potential that, you know, they still have Moana in mind, especially after how many years, and the movie is still relevant to audiences, to fans. And
it's panning out to be a classic. It really is.
Absolutely. You know, so they'll just have to really see how far they'll go.
Exactly.
Engineering of this scenario. And if they would have the entrance be the grand ceremonial house from Moana, and have that be the main entrance, and then
really
have
quick,
a very long.
And with that pun, Disney, what could I say? You're welcome.
Exactly. You're welcome.
Queue line that could be kind of the caves that Moana goes to go discover all the boats for, you know, her voyage. And you could have that be kind of like rock work and be the cave area. And that could be similar in a way to how Indiana Jones over in Disneyland takes you all the way from Adventureland on outside of the berm of Disneyland and into the main attraction show building. And they could do the same kind of thing here in Walt Disney World, as this would be roughly around 450 feet of.
See, I want to give some kudos though to Jack, because Jack, I've been watching his content since the beginning. I love his stuff.
I have to.
Yep. And this is one of the things I absolutely love about what he does. He is so good at this kind of like this armchair Imagineering. He'll bust out the Google Maps. You know, he'll deep dive into where we'll go. I mean, this is absolute brilliant stuff. And Jack has always been really good at this stuff. I mean, I've been watching this guy for years, and he's always had a knack for kind of figuring stuff out like this. And where you know, if we get this attraction, where could it go? Could we put it here? Could we put it there? And he breaks it down with the maps. Absolutely brilliant, and I love it. This is classic Jack right here.
A very long queue area. And if you compare that to Indiana Jones is around 550 feet. So clearly this would be roughly the same. And then that way you could get them into a big show building around the back, and you wouldn't have to theme necessarily the show building if you keep it, you know, low enough. And you could do some sort of big attraction, which, you know, there's plenty of space back there. There's around 5 or 6 acres of space for a big attraction show building to go into that location. So I think that would be a very good way of going about it. And then the other thing is, what kind of ride could they do? And here's just some more speculation, as obviously we don't have all the details right now, but there was a patent that was filed in 2021 that was for a boat motion simulator. And very clearly within the diagram of the boat motion simulator, you can see that they have characters that look very much like Moana and Maui on a boat on the attraction. And this wouldn't be out of the norm, because oftentimes these patents can be little hints to what Imagineering might end up using them for, like, you know, the lightsaber tech that we saw within the patents in the past, and even the screen tech, which was pretty much showing the Space 220 setup for the restaurant and also the Star Cruiser as well. And so clearly this could be a hint to what kind of ride system they could be going for, which would be a kind of crossover between the simulator maneuverability of a Star Tours at the base mixed with the moving eye point dome setup of the Shanghai Disney Pirates of the Caribbean attraction with the simulator 360 dome exterior, which would then offer riders the ability to have roll, sway, heave, pitch.
Oh, one sec.
Got another one.
You were there on a bench.
Gotta love those ads.
You gotta love them. There we go.
Surge all the kind of motions of being on the ocean in a very large simulator environment. But personally, if they are going to do a Moana attraction, I would actually prefer it to be some sort of family-friendly roller coaster attraction. Okay. Where I know you're probably thinking, how would a roller coaster work with the idea of Moana? And I think if they took this previous patent of a swinging arm roller coaster system that we saw in the past, where you can have people seated on either side of, let's say, the boat, and then that way you could hide the arm part of the roller coaster behind a sail, and then you could be kind of like, you know, riding the seas on a roller coaster instead. And I think that would be a very good way of having a thrill attraction within Adventureland, have another roller coaster within Magic Kingdom, and it would be family friendly and everyone could be able to ride it, and it could be inside a massive show building, and they could do all sorts of special effects with that dome kind of technology. But that would be personally how I would like to see a Moana attraction take form in some sort of way if it was a ride through attraction. But clearly, I think the one thing that I'm taking away from all of this is there's clearly smoke where there's fire.
Right.
And then the other thing is that Imagineering is apparently looking to expand once again with hundreds of Imagineers in the near future. And obviously not just theme park Imagineers that construct the attractions, but, you know, Imagineering encompasses a great big wide area of the division. So, you know, that's over the next year or two. And if they are doing that, then clearly, you know, that's in preparation to start gearing up on these projects. We won't see them and, you know, start construction immediately, but they'll need to start the work in that direction.
Yeah, a lot of fans were kind of poo-pooing the turbocharged thing, and I get it. I understand, you know, a lot, you know, people are cynical right now, but I'm telling you, there is something to that. And Jack is absolutely correct with this. Like, well, his sources are hearing that they're going to ramp up the Imagineering, but we're not even from sources though. We're seeing it with our own eyes. Look at the of movement that is happening right now. Look at just last night with the Disneyland Forward stuff. You know what I'm saying? Look at how they were quick to work that deal out with DeSantis. Look how they've been announcing stuff. Look how the ambitious plans for Paris. We're seeing a lot of movement right now. So definitely, I agree with him. Where there's smoke, there's absolutely fire. Things are going to ramp up, I think, for Disney with the parks. They see the parks as a cash cow, which they absolutely are. And Bob Iger and all these executives have said it on the earnings calls that they want to go all in on the park stuff right now. All right. So I think as parks fans, I think we're in for a treat. I really do. I know that's not popular in fandom nowadays. It's more popular to just say, "Oh God, everything sucks." You know? But yeah. I'm excited. Okay, I'm excited. Sorry.
So I think that's a positive sign. Also, they might be looking to bring back some old hands to help guide some of these projects through the next few years as well. So this is just all positive news, I think, about the, you know, D23 event coming up later on this year. And hopefully it is a big one. You know, a lot could change between now and August. You know, It is 5 months away. And, you know, a lot of macro factors could play a role in changing the events and stuff like that. But as it currently stands, I am cautiously optimistic as we are on the road to D23. But now it's over to you, the Waltons. As I want to know, what are your thoughts and opinions about these recent rumblings and rumors about Moana getting a ride through attraction, supposedly still on the...
So again, fantastic video by Jack. Make sure I'm going to be linking it. Absolutely. I'm going to be linking this video in particular at the end of this video. So stick around for that and check his out. But yeah, make sure you support Jack. He's a friend of the channel. But yeah, I mean, George, this is interesting stuff. I think he's right though. I really do. I mean, look, Moana, like he said, is a massive franchise. Massive. It's destroying on Disney Plus, you know?
Not to mention, as Jack had also mentioned, that a lot of the ideas that were in the original concept for Beyond Big Thunder with Encanto and Coco. Now, there's still rumblings even with that Coco is still going to end up somewhere in the Magic Kingdom as part of the Beyond Big Thunder. We're not 100% sure on that, but that's my personal opinion. Yeah, so I think honestly with Encanto going into Animal Kingdom, you know, that kind of opens the door to using other possibilities. And again, with Moana, of being the biggest, you know, watch on Disney Plus right now, and again with the sequel coming out and the live action coming out, I think it's gearing towards definitely Moana for Magic Kingdom, even if it's not part of the Beyond Big Thunder. I actually agree with Jack. I agree that it should go into Adventureland.
And if it's not part of the Beyond Big Thunder, and we're getting Beyond Big Thunder 2, this is a sizable investment at Walt Disney World. Because let's just say we get whatever we get for Beyond Big Thunder, right?
Right.
And then we get this Moana thing. Let's say it goes in Adventureland. And then all the Animal Kingdom stuff. Like, this is big. This is massive for Walt Disney World. And that's not even including all the stuff that we're likely going to get for Disneyland with this Pandora, with Disneyland Forward likely to be finalized very soon on May 7th. So a lot of cool stuff happening. I'm excited, but I am cautiously optimistic. I mean, look, not so much about the future of Disney parks. I'm confident the parks will be fine. I'm more about cautiously optimistic about like the expo, I think. Disney doesn't have the best track record with these conventions. Even Star Wars Celebration for me has been iffy for a while. So we'll see. Hopefully they hit a home run. I am cautiously optimistic. I do feel the energy is changing. There's something in the air right now. So we'll see, man. It's crazy news, but Moana would make a beautiful attraction. Absolutely beautiful. The visuals, I love that Polynesian kind of that culture, that music. I think it's going to be really, really fun. But any final thoughts, George, before we take off today?
No, I think we covered everything. But again, a big shout out and thank you to Jack from DSNY Newscast. That was what allowed us to be able to do this reaction video. Kudos to him. I love what he does with his channel. Phenomenal guy, just as a person, and glad he's doing well, and can't wait to see what more he has to come with DSNY.
Yeah, absolutely. Comment down below with all your thoughts on everything we talked about today. Moana, the overall turbocharging, the expansion of the parks we're seeing with Walt Disney World and at Disneyland Resort. You can, if you want to talk Disneyland, we can do that in the chat too. No worries. Anything you guys want to talk about, comment down below. We would love to hear from you. Now, programming note, we do have some videos coming up. We got that Disneyland Forward vote that was last night. We're going to do a video very soon on that. There's a lot there that we really want to dive into, and we have a whole bunch of stuff coming down the pipeline. So make sure you tune in. But thank you so much for watching, and a big shout out again to Jack from DSNY. Thank you for watching OG55. Bye-bye, everybody.
세상이 누구에게나 공평하게 추악해.